We heard a lot about GLP-1 drugs in 2025, and that's not going to change in 2026 or the years beyond. Three big things are changing. They're going to have huge impacts across all CPG categories, but primarily food and beverage. One is the expiration of semaglutide patents in much of the world, including the large markets of China, India, and Brazil. The second is the first pill formats hitting the market, expanding accessibility and appealing to consumers who are needle-averse. And finally, the emergence of the so-called multi-agonists, much more potent versions of GLP-1 drugs that cause even more weight loss, which are already being used in a gray market setting and will likely get official approval relatively soon. All which means the GLP-1 revolution has only just begun, and impacts are going to become even stronger across categories going forwards. Now, there's impacts in places like apparel, beauty and personal care, consumer health, but of course, primarily you're speaking about food and beverage. Millions of people worldwide are eating less and eating differently, and that is having a massive effect on these categories. And primarily speaking, it's been a negative effect. If we look at performance of food stock prices in the last year, they were the worst since the Great Recession, which shows that in many ways the food industry is in its own recession right now, and part of that is expanding GLP-1 usage. A lot of categories are really struggling. Snack volumes, for example, in North America, which is the biggest GLP-1 market, have been negative consistently since the pandemic. And that is not entirely due to GLP-1 usage, but it's certainly playing a large role. On the other hand, other categories are doing pretty well. Plain yogurt, for example, very mature, very unexciting category, was up 12% in North America in 2024 and 9% last year, showing, again, a strong impact of GLP-1 usage, although not exclusively from GLP-1 users. We see food service brands changing their menus in order to adapt to a user base that's increasingly on GLP-1 drugs. Chipotle's new snack offerings, for example. Blaze Pizza's new protein pizza. Even now in places like the UK, we're seeing it. Greg's has a new menu designed for GLP-1 usage. Some supermarket chains have ready meals designed just for GLP-1 users. It's the point even where Danone reported problems last year that they couldn't produce enough yogurt to meet demand. They literally did not have production capabilities to deal with this shift in the market because of the impact of GLP-1 users, as well as a wider shift toward protein. And that is always worth keeping in mind is many of the things GLP-1 users demand, such as high protein, gut health friendly products, nutrient dense products, are often looked for by a wider audience. And that can make it sometimes hard to tease out GLP-1 usage, even though undoubtedly it's playing a huge role in all of these trends. And we also see in a lot of the corporate maneuverings recently are driven at some level by GLP-1 demand. The breakup of Kraft Heinz, the sale of Unilever's ice cream brands are showing these companies are trying to adapt to a new environment. And part of that, of course, is affordability questions and the inroads of private label, but for sure GLP-1s are part of that. And we should never forget going forwards that this is going to be a more and more important impact in the food category with each year for at least the next several.